Morning guys, such a again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Major questions emerging on the state of the Call of Duty League as Nassim and others reveal in recent days that actually loan arrangements are starting to become a serious force in the CDL right now. Zuma reveals that actually aBe, currently playing for the Vancouver Surge, is still a Toronto player, yet he is out there on loan. This has not been a thing in the CDL for the last few years, but it has major implications for what some of these top teams are going to do. So big other drama going on elsewhere as well. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. People very swiftly forget just how good of a sniper Jeremy Studdy was back in his day. Of course now commentator for some time in the Call of Duty League, but certainly still a character in the scene. This pretty funny really, Hex talking about old men of OpTic. Used to love watching all that stuff back in the day, and it still exists on occasion as we know, but Dashy's like, damn, I really, like, am I getting that old, right? Getting invited to the old men of OpTic, because that, yeah, maybe the time will come at some point, but hopefully not yet for Dashy. Did mention earlier today what's happening with Doug Martin. He actually tweeted out free agent the other day. We know he's been playing for Next Threat, and then this morning we talked about that he's now officially gone from the Boston Breach. He's no longer part of their strategy going forwards. So look, Doug's still here to stay. He did say that before he went to do his pull-up world record, he felt like he was nearing as good as he'd ever played. Obviously he's made that return this year and has had an entertaining start to the season, but he's going to need a new team, and apparently Mohawk is going to be the one with Lieb and Llama 2X to join them. So pretty interesting to see Mohawk back in business. Of course, a big name in Challengers really, when Challengers wasn't such a big deal a few years ago, but Mohawk was running it up. He was winning back-to-back Challengers championships. He was getting offers, we think, to teams like the Paris Legion, but you know, didn't accept, and yeah, some problems behind the scenes led to him not being as much of a force in Challengers. It's also interesting to see, you know, Illy, right? What's going on there? Because we thought that Illy was going to be back this year, or he retired and then he was like, okay, now I'm going to come back, and then he played for a couple of weeks and now he's totally off the scene. So yeah, just wishing the best for all involved, but that apparently is going to be Doug's team for the rest of the season. Speaking of Boston, they do have, by the numbers, potentially the easiest remaining matches. Doesn't say here who exactly they're playing against, but effectively Boston's win percentage of their opponents in their upcoming 4 games is very low. So they're playing teams that have started out the season slow. Whereas Surge, for example, and also Thieves, they are playing teams that have started out the season pretty well, right? So Thieves are playing, I think they play FaZe very shortly. I think there might be an OpTic match in there before the end of the stint. So, you know, just as it stands, strength of schedule looks pretty radically different between the teams. Boston's 4 matches are against some of the weaker competition, Surges and Thieves' and Cloud9, etc. Certainly against some of the better competition overall. That will be a factor when it comes to what the seeding looks like for this first major in a couple of weeks' time. Couple of clips from Slasher as well, of course. He did decide to call it a day a few days ago. He had some interesting words, I thought, to say on the state of practice, really. And again, you can talk about that Slasher should be responsible for this and do a better job with the team and all that. But I thought it was interesting to see Slasher give an insight into what it's been like to be on an absolutely top team in Atlanta FaZe in Modern Warfare 2, to them going down to weaker teams that effectively don't care as much. I mean, this is all the talking point, isn't it, about, oh, these guys are just here to collect a paycheck and all this. Slasher says that from what he has experienced, that's kind of right. Like, in terms of the seriousness of taking practice. Back in Slasher's day when he's teaming with, as I said yesterday, guys like JCap, and then certainly in the Call of Duty League, team with people like Kenny. Then he goes on to FaZe, teaming with the trio and got Crowder behind the scenes. You know, those guys are taking it serious, right? They're turning up to scrims every day, trying to get better, trying to win, creating a plan of action. But since joining some of the weaker teams, Slasher's realized that really these guys like just don't commit as others do. I mean, we talk about it in challenges often. I mean, Don will say that the Telluride Bush, some days their practice is just terrible. They've stayed up too late playing Arc Raiders, right? So there's just different levels, and what Slasher's saying is that within the league there are radically different levels, right? Like, as he says, it was difficult for him to step away before playing a LAN. He wanted to, but practice was just so terrible, and like there was no hope of improving with the way that they were taking practice, that what was the point anymore? And look, if that was the case at Ravens, then you can imagine it could be the case at some other teams as well. So, look, there's a reason why some of these guys are on the verge of getting dropped out of the league ASAP for Challengers players, and it's only going to continue, I think.
Win. What was your experience playing on Atlanta FaZe? Did you like teaming with those guys? Oh, I mean, I loved it. That was the last team I was on. We took practice very seriously. There was a common goal of trying to win. We all got along. We all hung out outside of the game a lot. I just, unfortunately, I think I got on that team in the worst year possible, Modern Warfare 2. I think if I was on that team in literally any other game, I think we would have won 2 or 3 at least. But yeah, that's just how it goes. The game, I started thinking about it over the... Honestly, even when we were practicing every day, like, I started thinking about it. Like, it just wasn't fun. It wasn't fun anymore. I feel like the way I approach practice and everything is very serious. Like, obviously want to have fun too, but I'm way more serious with it than a lot of the new age kids and stuff. And it just felt like we were it felt to me like a waste of time. Like, we weren't getting better, we're just playing to play. Where I want to, like, get better. Like, I want to, go hard every day. And I was just like, what's the point of continuing to a Major 1 if I'm not, like, enjoying it, Expand on that more. Like, you could, I mean, if you know me, like, it had to be pretty serious if I gave up playing a LAN event, because that's really the only reason why I was still playing, is that we had LAN events here and there. Because the online shit was just never fun for me. Lost passion, I think I still have the passion to compete. Even though I didn't really enjoy the games. I mean, the situations that the teams I found myself in, like, it was not the same. Like, I think even back, like, we can go way back to some of my old teams before we even had Codcaster. And I think the approach to practice and just what we did on a daily basis was more productive than some of these bottom half teams are now.
And listen, I've seen a lot of people saying that the league is boring and that Challengers is definitely more entertaining. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think the league is boring and Challengers is more entertaining? Is that what? Because I just think the league just hasn't been around. I think Challengers is entertaining as fuck. I can't lie. Like, I fucking love Challengers. It's the best shit. You know what I mean? But I also do think the CDL hasn't been around. We just been on break. It's just been such a long break. There's been literally nothing happening. I mean, the league kicks back up in 2 days. Once it kicks back up, it's going to be a straight shot for a few months. You know what I mean? It's just, it's weird how they start the league, and then after like a couple weeks, we're already back to just back to a break, right? Like, we just had a few months off season, and then we go into a season, we play for like a couple weeks, and then we're right back to another break. Right? Like, it's just such a weird, like, it's so weird, like, having so much time off.
Zuma's also not wrong about the state of the COD League. We've talked in recent days, damn, Challengers seems far more interesting than the CDL right now. Well, again, the league, I mean, what are they doing with this format? I know that they are beholden to the league to when the tournaments actually are happening, because they set up a tournament on this date. DreamHack is the end of March, so therefore they have to do it then, and therefore they've got to make the qualifiers work around that. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Yes, you're always beholden to when the events are actually going to be happening, but you also could run more. For example, I think on the 2nd of January, that's when the matches should have been back rather than on the 9th. And if you are going to do it that way, they should have thrown in a minor tournament, right? I mean, they're doing minor tournaments in Major 3, Major 4 qualifiers, so why not run another one in Major 1? I just don't know, this obsession with taking all this time off. I don't think Zuma's wrong. It's like the league was pretty interesting in December, and then we had near enough a month off, so all the attention goes elsewhere. Traditionally, what will happen in the summer, when the league matches nobody cares about anymore, people are interested in the majors and the world championships, people, instead of watching Call of Duty, they just go and watch other sports. And that's a thing that the CDL needs to make sure, they try and get on top of. Thankfully, with Challengers being interesting, people who are COD fans, if the CDL is kind of dead, they're going to be interested more in Challengers, which is a good thing for the whole ecosystem, but certainly not the way that it should be. The CDL should be the premier product. Doesn't necessarily always feel that way right now. But speaking of the relationship between the two, we're seeing a lot of Challengers players lately get their opportunities. As we know, we've got Exceed getting into the league for Slasher, Nium's coming into the Los Angeles Thieves. Now, Formal gives a few thoughts on this. On Nium, if he doesn't perform what's the pressure going to look like on him? Because, look, if you're replacing Kenny, that may happen. It's not going to happen yet as far as we understand, but it's possible after Major 1 if Thieves have a bad time. Nium is, look, there's only one player who's getting replaced on Thieves as it stands. That's why the pressure's on Kenny to turn up, for sure. But also as Nium, if you spawn into a team with HyDra, Scrap and aBeZy, you've got to adapt your playstyle to make it work with those guys, and it might not be so easy. The pressure's also going to be on you massively in that scenario. But also you are coming out of challenges. There's no immediate expectation to win immediately exactly. For example, with Kenny, arguably more pressure on him just because he had the bad stint last year. And then this season he's coming into Thieves with lots of expectations. Oh, is he going to turn it around? People are really keeping an eye on him. If he drops a 0.7 map 1 of the season, people are going to be talking about it, less so with the challenges option. So there's that piece, but there's also the loan arrangement situations. Azuma reveals, and aBeZy's talked about this in recent days, that players are now getting loans across different CDL franchises. Now, this was a talking point for a couple of years. People often talked about trades and loans, but it wasn't really ever a thing. But now the teams are starting to figure out they can do this and potentially do this successfully.
FaZe had loaned out players where at the end of the year, they came back to them, right? So they could sell them or they could do anything they want to do with them, which honestly was a great place from FaZe because they ended up making money on those players at the end of the year, right? Whether if they went somewhere else or whatever, you know what I mean? So I know that used to be a thing. I just didn't know it was a thing in CDL, but apparently Abe is loaned by Koi. Yeah, that's the rumor on the street limit is that Abe is loaned, which is, interesting. It's very interesting because I do think you'll see more teams taking more risk on challenger players and getting them to the bench because theoretically, say FaZe wins the next event, they have a Luke on a bench and somebody wants a Lurqxx, FaZe could loan him out or he could be loaned somewhere or something can happen, I don't know. Or he could be put into the roster, right? I think it ultimately depends on what happens and what's going on. But I'm just saying it could be good to have players on your bench, right? And now we're seeing the rumor with LA Thieves and how they're signing Nium to a sub spot. That they're not replacing anybody, but they're signing Nium to a substitute spot.
I definitely agree that Nium should be on a league team. But now you're kind of just hoping. Okay, let's say Kenny gets replaced. Say they play this weekend. They play their matches this weekend, and then they decide on Monday next week, so in 6 days, that Nium has to play their next set of matches. Nium's off the bench and he's playing starting matches. Okay, hypothetically speaking, if that's the case, not only does Nium have to start performing like that and prove to everyone that he's, it's a very high risk, high reward situation that he's put in instead of a low risk, high reward, or low risk, low reward situation on Carolina. That's really my thoughts at the end of it. A high risk, high reward situation is joining LAT as a sub, hoping they get shit on. He gets put in, and then he fries, and he's like, damn, that's Nium, Because you get to skip all the steps where you're playing with shitty players in the league, and you get to go play with HyDra, Scrap, and aBeZy. That's insane. That's an insane first team, bro. To just be blessed upon, that's an insane team.
So aBeZy theorizes the Chelsea strat, where effectively you just hoard a load of players and then you send them out on loan. This could be an option. So if Toronto have got Abe, of course, because Abe played for them on Koi at the World Cup last year, they said they would let him go for free to another team if they wanted to get him. It's that's really nice of you, Toronto. But actually, no, this is a business call. They're not just letting him go for free. They're letting him go for free on loan. So he's still a Toronto player, but he's loaned out to another franchise, which means that Toronto still have, if Abe fries and then some other team wants him, then perfect opportunity, because then it's not Surge that get the buyout for that or whatever. It's Toronto that hold the rights to that contract. So this can make a fair bit of sense. You sign a player on board to your team, whatever the minimum salary looks like, as this doesn't really exist in the CDL anymore. It's kind of like a state-decided thing, it seems. Then you loan them out to another team. They'll pay you some money to do that. It's potentially cheaper for them than going to buy someone out of challenges. But then if that player does very well, then there's an opportunity for the original team to get some sort of buyout. So effectively what it means is, with loads being possible, teams may find more value in this now. People are talking about Taylor in the replies here is discussing Toronto when they have that 10-man team in Modern Warfare 19. And it was a similar story with FaZe in Black Ops 4, right? They had that FaZe Black team with Phantoms and those guys on it at the time, Asim and all that. So that was an option that they went for, and that provided some value to them. But we've seen in the league over the last few years, not many substitutes getting signed. They will just put the coach down as the sub and call it a day. Whereas with loans seemingly allowed now and teams utilising them to good effect, such as the Toronto guys, who always seem to be pretty ahead of the curve when it comes to situations like this, there might be more logic, right? Okay, let's say Nium comes in as a sub for Thieves, and then they replace him for the starting team with Kenny. They wouldn't need to drop Kenny. They could keep him on the bench and potentially send him on loan to another team. Another team could try Kenny, see if he works in their team. If they then want to buy Kenny fully, then that would work for Thieves. Whereas otherwise, if you're Thieves, you've just got to drop the guy and then you don't get anything in return. Or you keep him on the bench spots, but there's nothing you can do with him apart from he can go and play in challenges, which he's not going to want to do for those kind of names. So it's an interesting development in the league. Intrigued to your thoughts as always in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.